subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and click the bell so you won't miss any more chilling tales. If you think you know all there is about fear, get ready. What happened in this forest will forever change your idea of nightmares. Deep in the heart of an ancient forest, where the darkness is so thick that even the moonlight struggles to pierce the dense canopy of centuries-old trees, our story begins. It is here, on a long-forgotten trail shunned even by the bravest souls, where every rustle of leaves might signal the step of an unknown entity, that events unfold capable of paralyzing even the most daring adventurers with fear. Locals call this forest the Forest of Shadows, for it hides secrets that no one dares speak of, whether day or night. This is the tale of a mysterious stranger who appeared many years ago on the outskirts of a small American town. No one knew where he came from, or what he sought within these remote woods. With his arrival, strange events began to occur, and the forest seemed to awaken from a long slumber filled with ancient curses and sinister legends. On that fateful night, when the moon was full and the stars glimmered like the eyes of otherworldly beings, the stranger stepped onto a path leading deep into the forbidden forest. A heavy mist enveloped the woods, like a dense blanket, concealing every path, every twist of the trees, and every minute detail of nature. Every tree here had its own story, every stone its own pain, and every rustle a warning to those who dared to approach. For centuries, this forest had been a place where the realms of the living and the dead intermingled, a place where past and present were woven together into one unbreakable knot. In a remote corner of the forest stood an old cabin, about which rumors circulated that the spirit of an ancient shaman, cursed for his dark rituals, resided there. The locals believed that this cabin was the center of mystical forces that attracted all that was connected to the otherworld. And so, on that fateful night, the stranger, whose origins remained unknown, approached this cursed dwelling, carrying not only an enigmatic secret, but also the seal of an ancient curse that grew ever more entwined with the fabric of the forest. With each of his steps, the stranger was tall and gaunt, his face hidden beneath dark, unkempt hair, and his eyes seemed to glow with a sinister inner fire. He moved silently, as if merging with the night's darkness, each step echoing like a heartbeat in the stillness. In his gait, one could sense not only determination, but also deep sorrow, as if he was searching for something long lost, something that could bring solace to his tormented soul. Soon he reached the edge of the ancient forest, where a narrow path led into the heart of the gloom. Here, at the crossroads of worlds, the forest opened its arms as if inviting the stranger to partake in an ancient ritual performed long before civilization's rise. The wind rustled through the branches, creating a foreboding chorus, and it seemed that nature itself whispered to him, "You are already here." The stranger paused, listening to voices emanating from the depths of the thicket. His eyes widened with the realization that the forest was not merely silent, but was watching his every move, like a living being awakened by an age-old curse. With the first slivers of moonlight, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Ahead, along the narrow trail, a fleeting shadow darted by, swift and elusive, as if the very air condensed around it. The stranger stopped and peered into the darkness, trying to discern the shape that appeared to be part of the forest itself. The shadow vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving only an echo of rustling leaves, and a strange feeling of impending menace. With every step, the forest grew ever more ominous. The trees seemed to close in around him, forming a labyrinth with no escape. Underfoot, brittle leaves creaked, and the air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and something indefinable. A smell that defied description, a fragrance of ancient sorrow and bitter memories. Suddenly, he heard a soft, almost imperceptible whisper coming from all around. Voices, like cries for help, mingled with deep, guttural roars, as if ancient beings were struggling to break through the veil of reality. The stranger froze, realizing that his presence had not gone unnoticed. He tried to locate the source of the sound, but the darkness and thick fog obscured everything, transforming every noise into an even more sinister harbinger of danger. "Who's there?" he called, though no answer came. Only the wind repeated his words, as if mocking his fear. At that moment, he understood that the forest itself was the keeper of secrets and pains accumulated over the ages. Every sound, every movement around him was an echo of ancient rituals, long forgotten by time, yet never completely erased from this place. Pressing on, he came upon a circle of ancient stones, overgrown with moss and lichen. At the center of the circle stood a stone altar, upon which were carved symbols incomprehensible to an ordinary man. The stranger felt a chill run down his spine. These symbols seemed strangely familiar, as if he had seen them in dreams long forgotten, but hauntingly real. He knelt down and began to whisper softly, words that seemed to emerge intuitively from deep within him, as if his very soul knew that these utterances were the key to unlocking the ancient mystery hidden at the heart of the forest. The night deepened, and the forest around him grew more alive, as if awakening from a long slumber. The stranger, buoyed by an inexplicable force, continued to recite mysterious words, and the earth beneath him began to vibrate softly in response. The ancient stones, as if stirred by his voice, started to glow with a cold, bluish light, a light that bathed the circle in an eerie, mesmerizing beauty. The glow spread, creating the illusion that time itself had slowed, and that past and present had merged into one. Suddenly, from the darkness emerged the figure of a woman, clad in ancient garments adorned with the very symbols he had just seen on the stones. Her face was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes shone with a hypnotic, otherworldly light. She approached him like the very embodiment of the night, and in a soft, almost ethereal voice, she said, "You have come seeking the truth, but know this, the truth is not something you can bear." Her words cut through the silence like a knife. The stranger felt a chill pierce his heart, and in that instant he realized that his presence here was no mere accident. He was chosen, a destined participant in an ancient rite that would reveal the secrets of the Forest of Shadows, and perhaps alter the course of history. The woman, whose appearance was both beautiful and terrifying, extended her hand, inviting him to follow her deeper into the woods. They proceeded along a narrow path illuminated only by the flickering light of mysterious stones scattered along the way. All around them, the forest seemed to come alive. The trees leaned in as if to better hear their whispers, and unseen creatures glided among the branches, watching every move. The stranger felt the stirring of ancient forces as his mind filled with visions of the past, images of suffering, sacrifices, and ancient curses that had left an indelible mark on this sacred place. Further along, they reached the base of an enormous oak, which had stood as the guardian of the forest for centuries. Its mighty branches stretched skyward, as if trying to quench the thirst of ancient spirits, and its bark was inscribed with mysterious signs conveying messages from long-forgotten civilizations. The woman stopped before the oak and said, "Here lies the truth. This is the place where the paths of past and future converge, a place where every drop of blood spilled on this land has left its mark in the eternal cycle of life and death." The stranger approached, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. On the ancient oak, scenes from other worlds were carved into the bark. Warriors battling unseen enemies, victims sacrificed to appease the spirits of the forest, and images that invoked both horror and admiration. Every line and symbol seemed to breathe, as if telling its own story, a story of pain, love, and an inexorable destiny. At that moment, the woman raised her hands, and from the oak emanated a soft yet persistent melody. This music was unlike anything the stranger had ever heard before. Within it were echoes of ancient rituals, forgotten incantations, and prayers addressed to the forces capable of shattering the very fabric of reality. The stranger felt his body trembling, and his mind filled with visions. He saw battles among ancient gods, heard the laments of the fallen, and felt the earth pulsing in sync with this primordial rhythm. "Are you ready to know what this forest hides?" the woman asked, her voice like the rustle of leaves in a midnight wind. The stranger, realizing that there was no turning back, nodded, even as fear and doubt churned within him. He understood that ahead lay the unknown, but that feeling was interwoven with the burning desire to uncover a mystery he had dreamed of all his life. The path ahead led them ever deeper into the forest, where the darkness became almost tangible, and the air was thick with ancient incantations. Step by step, the stranger neared the heart of the Forest of Shadows, a place where, as the legend said, time lost its power, and the souls of the dead found new life in a maelstrom of magic and curses. Before long, they reached a vast lake, its waters as black as tar, reflecting nothing but the darkness of the night. Surrounding the lake were ancient ruins, the remnants of what once might have been a great temple or palace, dedicated to the worship of nature's forces. Amid the shattered columns and leaning arches, one could sense the presence of something both sinister and primordial. The woman halted at the water's edge, and gazing into the unfathomable depths, said, "Here, in the depths of the lake, lies the heart of the curse. Here reside the souls of those who dared disturb the forest's slumber, and their pain still echoes in every sound, in every rustle of the wind." The stranger listened intently to her words, feeling as though his mind was being filled with an indescribable mixture of terror and reverence for the power that dwelt here. Suddenly, the surface of the lake began to ripple, and from its depths emerged a figure, first faintly visible, then gradually taking shape. It was the silhouette of an old man, with long, flowing gray hair and piercing eyes, filled with ancient wisdom and unending sorrow. Slowly, he stepped onto the shore, leaving watery traces behind him, as if even the flow of time bowed to his will. The old man spoke in a soft, almost whispered tone that resonated as if from another realm. "You have come here, stranger, to learn the truth, but be warned. The truth you seek may shadow you from within. This forest, this land, they keep the memories of the dead and the cursed, and only the chosen can bear the weight of this wisdom." His words, laden with ancient grief, stirred within the stranger a blend of horror and an insatiable desire to know more. Under the old man's guidance, the stranger immersed himself in the study of ancient rituals, inscribed upon stones and engraved into the very heart of the forest. Every word, every metaphor carried a fragment of the great mystery that linked this world with the beyond. The old man explained how the forest had once been a sacred place of worship for the gods of nature, how rituals were performed here to appease the forces governing life and death. But over time, these rituals transformed into curses, and worship morphed into a thirst for vengeance. One ancient manuscript discovered among the ruins spoke of the Great Fall, a moment when the forest, weary of endless sacrifices, had risen in defiance and turned its back on humanity. Since then, the souls of the fallen had wandered these lands in search of rest, their voices echoing in every rustle of leaves and every creak of a falling branch. The stranger learned that he was the last of a lineage chosen to restore the balance, to break the cycle of curses, and bring salvation, even if that salvation was wrought in cruelty. Every step and every word spoken by the old man filled the stranger with a sense of inevitability. He understood that his fate was inextricably linked with this forest, and that unraveling the secrets hidden in its depths might be the key not only to saving his own soul, but also to redeeming countless others, long forgotten by time. In his mind, visions of ancient rituals and battles where good and evil intertwined flashed before his eyes, each clash of sword and every drop of spilled blood resonating with the hearts of those who had lost faith in a bright future. It was a moonless night, and the forest seemed even more foreboding than before. Together with the old man, the stranger arrived at a sacred circle where time itself appeared to have come to a standstill. Amid the ancient symbols and runic inscriptions, he was to perform the final ritual, a ritual that would sever the chains of the ancient curse hanging over the forest of shadows. The old man raised his hands to the sky and began reciting incantations that reverberated throughout the clearing. His voice, strong and resolute, filled the space with a potent energy that made even time tremble. The stranger, mirroring his mentor's actions, repeated the words, feeling as if ancient forces were infusing every cell of his body. This ritual was not merely an attempt to restore balance. It was a challenge to the very powers of darkness, a defiant call to bring light back to a forsaken land. In an instant, the ground beneath them groaned, and the air filled with a cacophony of sounds, as if thousands of voices began speaking in unison. At that moment, the forest burst into life in all its eerie splendor. The ancient trees murmured their tales of sorrow. Unseen entities stirred in a vortex of primordial magic and curses around them. The stranger felt his mind overwhelmed with visions of the dead, their anguished faces and plaintive cries demanding redemption. The old man, nearly overcome by the battle, spoke in a quiet, yet determined voice. "It is time. Your soul is the key to our liberation. Let go of your fear and allow the light to enter this world, or the darkness will engulf us all." With those words resonating through the chaos, the stranger, gripped by a turbulent mix of fear, grief, and hope, rose and proclaimed the final words of the incantation, a declaration that each utterance might be his last, yet also the promise of deliverance for all trapped within the curse of the forest of shadows. All around them, a struggle ensued, a battle not for mere survival, but one pitting ancient forces against one another. The forest, as if alive, resisted the attempt to shatter its curse. The wind roared, The trees creaked and bent as if trying to cast off the burden of centuries of suffering, and the earth beneath their feet quivered as though defying the new order. With each passing second, the stranger felt the forest's forces clawing at his mind, striving to seize his soul and turn it into another link in the chain of ancient curses. Visions of terror and sorrow flashed by in a gruesome kaleidoscope, causing his heart to beat wildly. He saw the visages of fallen warriors, broken hopes, and heard the agonized laments that shattered the silence of the night. Yet, despite the overwhelming might of these primordial powers, he remained steadfast. His voice, brimming with resolve and courage, rang out above the chaos, striving to dispel the encroaching darkness. The old man, weakened by the relentless struggle, could only murmur words of support, reminding the stranger of his mission. "You must believe that light can triumph over darkness," echoed the old man's faint voice, and gathering the last reserves of his will, the stranger cried out, as if addressing every forsaken soul of the forest, "I believe. Light will prevail. Let the curse be lifted, and may the forest find peace." His words, imbued with sincere faith and desperate hope, reverberated across the clearing, and for a moment it seemed as if nature itself paused in anticipation of what would come next. Moments stretched into an eternity as the battle reached its climax. Unseen forces, determined to extinguish hope and smother the light, began to weave around the stranger, an illusion where past and future merged into a single, inescapable whole. He saw the faces of his ancestors, heard their voices calling him to greatness, and felt the strength of a spirit passed down through generations. In that decisive instant, the forest appeared to yield to a new order. The stones, the ancient runes, and the symbols carved into the bark of trees burst forth in radiant light, reflecting hope and the power of renewal. The stranger felt his body suffused with newfound energy, and gathering his remaining strength, he uttered the final incantation, a declaration that would forever sever the ancient curse's hold. Then, as if by magic, the howling wind fell silent, and a profound stillness descended, a stillness so deep that it seemed the entire universe held its breath. Slowly, the dark clouds dispersed, yielding to the gentle, warm glow of the approaching dawn. The forest, freed from centuries of torment, began to awaken to a new life. The ancient voices that had long languished in oblivion quieted, giving way to the melody of a new day. The old man, smiling with wisdom and peace, looked at the stranger and softly said, "You have done the impossible. Your faith, your determination, they have freed this forest from its age-old curse. Now, the Forest of Shadows shall become the Forest of Renewal, a place where the memory of the past coexists in harmony with hope for the future." The stranger, surveying the forest reborn, felt the invisible bonds that connected him to this place strengthen, filling him with a sense of belonging to something grand and eternal. Days, weeks, and months passed, yet the legend of the Forest of Shadows lived on. The nearby town, once gripped by fear and distrust of the unknown, began to change. Its residents, once wary of the mysterious woods, now sensed that near them lay a source of power and wisdom. The ancient curses, long forgotten by time, gave way to a new beginning. The stranger, now a symbol of liberation and transformation, departed, knowing that his journey was but a small chapter in the grand narrative inscribed in the eternal book of life. Still, the memory of that fateful night and the time when the forest awakened with ancient voices never faded. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the townsfolk gathered at the forest's edge to hear tales of how faith can conquer even the deepest darkness. These stories passed from one generation to the next, growing into legends that inspired heroic deeds and served as a reminder that even in the darkest corners, a spark of light may always be found. The stranger left behind numerous messages, records, and diaries detailing his struggle against the ancient forces, his visions, and revelations. These writings became a true legacy, guiding future generations to understand that every living being, be it man or forest spirit, has the right to freedom, to renewal, and to light. Thus, the Forest of Shadows, once a place of curses and suffering, transformed into a sacred sanctuary where ancient mysteries found peaceful resolution. The story of the Forest of Shadows is not merely a tale of battling evil. It is a narrative of the eternal quest for truth, of how fear and despair can yield to faith, hope, and love. Anyone who hears this story feels something ancient stir within them, a connection to the very essence of existence. The forest that was once filled with malice and curses now stands as a haven where one can find solace and the understanding that even in the deepest darkness, a light can ignite. The stranger, whose journey became a symbol of transformation, proved that even a single individual, if brave enough to believe in miracles, can change the course of events, shatter the barriers between worlds, and usher in a new chapter in the eternal chronicle of life. His struggle against ancient forces, his victory over the darkness, and the subsequent rebirth of the forest have become a legend that lives on in the hearts of people, inspiring them to act and reminding them that truth always conquers falsehood and that light always dispels darkness. Thus concludes this terrifying yet astonishingly inspiring tale of the Forest of Shadows. Today, whenever you hear the rustle of leaves or the whisper of the night wind, carrying echoes of ancient voices, remember that every living being has the power to change its destiny if it dares to step into the unknown. And if you're ready to uncover even more secrets, to learn how ancient forces continue to live among us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share this story with your friends. May this tale remind us all that each one of us is a spark of light, capable of banishing the darkness, and that even in the most dreadful corners of the world, hope for a better future remains. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time and space, through fear and hope, and through the eternal quest for truth. This story is but one of countless legends hidden in the depths of time and space. The Forest of Shadows continues to live, breathe, and whisper its ancient tales to those brave enough to listen. May the memory of those who have overcome their fears and found the light be eternal, and may each new generation boldly step onto the path where darkness yields to light, and every drop of blood and tear transforms into a symbol of strength and rebirth. On those rare nights when the stars shine especially bright and the world seems enveloped in magic, the forest awakens once again. The rustling of branches, the gentle whisper of leaves, and the echoes of ancient voices remind us that we are not alone. In every corner, in every sound and shadow, there lies a story capable of transforming us. Whether you are an adventurer, a lover of mystery, or simply someone seeking answers to life's questions, the Forest of Shadows is ever ready to reveal its secrets to those who dare to believe in miracles. Our story is only beginning, and perhaps in the future, we will learn even more about the ancient forces that hide behind every shadow and in every whisper of the wind. But today, as morning has replaced night and the forest fills with a new light, we remain filled with gratitude and hope. Gratitude for those who dared to step into this world, and hope that even in the darkest corners of the universe, there will always be room for light and love. May the forest of shadows forever be a symbol that each of us is capable of transformation, of conquering fear, and of pursuing the truth, wherever it may lead us. And remember, no matter how dark the night may be, dawn is inevitable, and a new day always follows the darkness. End of story. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video so that together we can embrace the power of ancient legends and find light even in the most sinister corners of our world.